everything from sunspots to comets. Everything is tied together with one great pattern of ethics, integrity, and values. Now, in many of these mysteries, we have only analogy to help us. We never get close enough to the problem to know exactly what it is. But we can get close enough to realize that wherever there is a problem, something is wrong. And if in our lives we have problems, that something that is wrong is ourselves. We have tried every way possible to push the problem onto someone else. We have tried to blame others for every mistake we make, but we are the ones that suffer. And there is no solution to any of these problems unless we approach the whole subject more or less scientifically. We've got to approach it on the basis of a firm statement of self-responsibility and acceptance. We also have to realize that we cannot depend upon memory for the information that we need. Take, for example, the child goes to school, graduates, and goes into the world. And at this time particularly, any information that he learned when he was 8 or 9 years old in school is liable to be completely wiped out by the time he is 16 or 18 years old. The rules he learned are obsolete before he memorizes them. The situations he thought he was fitting himself to meet no longer exist. The man who spent many years getting a career so that he could become a broker, when he finds there's so many brokers he can't get a job. All of these things represent an effort to just memorize your way into some kind of security. It can't be done. Today, memory is very, very incomplete and imperfect. The only way where memory is valuable is on the level of morality. But having no longer a security in memory, there's only one thing left to do: think. The individual has got to become capable of self-determinism. He's got to be capable of living his own life. If that is the only way he can manage the universe that is under his own skin. The ancients all realized that if the population of the world were all heaped together, they would not begin to compare with the forms of life that are within the body of one human being. In other words, we would not be able to divide sufficiently. We would realize that perhaps a thumb has a greater population than a planet. Tiny, insignificant forms of life that do not last for a breath come by the millions, by the billions. And they all have their parts to play. They are all a part of a great system, a great population, over which the individual as a selfhood is a god, a divine being, administering an empire of hundreds of billions of separate living things. Therefore, if he realizes this to a slight degree, he can become a tyrant. But very few people have reached that degree of understanding in which tyranny is possible. They rather remain ignorant and not knowing any part of it, ignore it all. But we know, for instance, that just as a country will fall apart with bad leadership, our health will fall apart by the bad habits. We realize that we can be tyrants, we can become crazy monarchs like the past, we can kill off our subjects, we can impoverish them, we can deprive the people of our inner kingdom of the food they need, of the protection they require, of the management they also must have. In other words, we can take from this little thing which we call the human body a grand pattern of the whole world and all the things that are involved in it. And we know that health today tells us that unless we use certain reasonable care, we will be a bad ruler. Now the world is used of bad, knows about all bad rulers. It knows about Genghis Khan. It knows about the conquest of Alexander and Napoleon. It knows all kinds of things about selfish people who have destroyed their empires, corrupted their world, and tortured their population. But do we realize that we may be one of them? only that we don't know what we are doing any more than the despot really knows, because we have allowed our selfishness or our ignorance or our antagonism to destroy the very life of our own bodies, to destroy millions of cells, destroy hundreds of functions simply by a temper fit. If we keep on this way long enough, we'll be in the same way as nations on earth. It will all end in revolution. We are getting over a revolution in China. We're getting over a revolution in India. Also a revolution in all other nations of the world. We have revolutions on every hand. And most of all, we have dyspepsia, which is one of the worst of our private revolutions. We have dyspepsia because we are tyrants, because we pay no attention to the population of our own private world. To find out and understand this, then, begins the problem that we find in all philosophical systems. First of all, get a good government. And a good government means a proper rulership over this little world that we live in. This little world, which to our visual faculties is very tiny, but in its true substance and essence may be real vast and multiform than the galaxy. But if we must be rulers, we should be good rulers. If we are not good rulers, we are tyrants. And if we are tyrants, we destroy our own kingdom. All this is what the people like Agrippa and Paracelsus and Davy all taught and believed. The beginning of a good world situation is an individual who learns to govern little things, and who is made a righteous governor over little things shall be given rulership over greater things. The Bible tells us definitely that we must begin our rulership over little things, and that those little things include mostly our own habits. To get into a condition where we can protect the body means that we are getting ready to go on to unfold a constructive program. A constructive program means that we have to not only have right ideas, but live them. Not only be convinced of truth, but apply them. And under pressure and disappointment and disillusionment, to keep right on doing that which is right. We find that every attitude which will destroy a kingdom, if brought down to the private life of an individual, will destroy health. We find that very definitely that we are custodians. This body is not something that was just pushed in under the Spirit to keep it while it was here. This body has been ages in evolving. It has been developed over a vast period of time to make possible the advancement of the internal life of the person. The body does not live for itself any more than humanity on the face of the earth lives for itself. They're all part of something bigger, something greater, and something more important. And it is the recognition of this concatenation of greatness that we should all be working with every day. If we take these written problems that we have, we will find that just as tyrants are selfish and destroy their people, so individuals are selfish and destroy their health. That wherever tyranny comes in, and in some cases tyranny is gratification of undisciplined habits. We may find that the individual will not break habits which will destroy him, so he is destroyed and they blame someone else. When this happens on a larger scale, we call it Alexander the Great. We really always are thinking of great people who make mistakes. But in this little mystery of ourselves, which is a very small but tremendously powerful one, this little mistake is something that can take away the health and endurance of billions of living entities within our own body. All this is something that we do when we study human alchemy and chemistry. We have to begin by a profound respect for the economy that makes possible the creature that we are. So we get away from the belief which we have in so many things. For instance, in law, if we don't know how to try the case, we get out the books and we read. And we hope that when we read, we will the answer. When the individual is